So, what if I told you there's a way to memorize pretty much anything, and it has almost nothing to do with just rereading something over and over? Today, we're going to unlock a really powerful technique that gets your entire brain in on the action, and it could completely transform how you learn complex stuff forever.
We've all been there, right? You spend hours and hours studying, trying to cram information into your head, only to feel it just evaporate a little while later. It's so frustrating. But the solution isn't just more repetition. It's about using a totally different approach. What we're talking about here is a practical, hands-on method that's designed to build real, lasting memories. So let's just forget about passively staring at a page, hoping things will stick. The big idea here is to make memorization an active, multisensory experience. We're talking about a process that doesn't just store information, but actually embeds it deep inside your mind. And the best part is that this technique is for absolutely everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a student cramming for a big exam, an adult trying to learn a new language, or really anyone trying to master a complex subject. This process is designed to work for you. All right, let's get into it. Step one is what we call link and look. Now, this is the foundation for everything else. It's how you prep your brain by building context and creating a kind of visual blueprint. And you do all this before you even try to memorize a single word. This prep stage has two simple parts. First up is linking. This is where you create these little mental hooks by connecting the new information to things you're already familiar with. And then there's looking, where you create a visual map of the page, a mental picture of its overall structure.
Okay, so here is a perfect example of linking in action, using two verses from the Quran. Now, these two phrases are incredibly similar, so how do you keep from mixing them up? Well, you link them to their unique context. The key is to find these small personal connections. Maybe it's a related idea or even just a similar sound that anchors each phrase in your memory. Seriously, these tiny little hooks make all the difference.
So once you've made your links, you do the second part of this step. You just look. And I mean it, don't actually read for meaning. Just scan the page. Notice where the paragraphs start, how long the sentences are, the overall shape of the text. You're basically taking a mental snapshot. It might feel a little weird, but what you're doing is giving your brain a visual framework to place the words onto later. All right, now that we've laid all the groundwork, we are moving on to the absolute core of this entire method. This next step is the key to everything. Now, it's going to feel a bit strange at first, but trust the process because this is where you really unlock your brain's full memorization power. And here it is, the real game changer. Step 2, mental writing. This is where we go way beyond just reading. You're actually going to use your imagination to mentally write the text, and in doing so, you engage your visual, physical, and cognitive abilities all at the same time. So, what exactly is mental writing? It's pretty simple, actually. You close your eyes, and you vividly imagine yourself writing the text out. You can picture a pen and paper in your mind's eye, or you can literally trace the letters in the air with your finger. The point is, you aren't just thinking the words, you're simulating the physical act of writing them. Now, the process itself has three parts. First, you close your eyes and you write the text with your dominant hand. Then you do the exact same thing again, but this time you do it with your non-dominant hand. And this is so crucial because it fires up the other hemisphere of your brain. And finally, you mentally write with both hands at the same time to fully integrate and synchronize that information across your entire brain. So here's the most important point to understand. What you're doing right here isn't just reviewing. This is the act of memorization. You are actively performing the process of transferring the information from the page and physically, well, mentally, embedding it directly into your long-term memory. Okay, but why does this seemingly strange technique work so incredibly well? Let's get into the science of it a little bit. I want you to think of this less like studying and more like taking your brain to the gym for a very specific and very intense workout. And here's a fantastic way to think about it. The first time you try this, it might feel tough, maybe even a little tiring. And you know what? That's a great sign. It's the mental version of your muscles being sore after a new workout. It's proof that you're activating parts of your brain that normal traditional learning just leaves on the bench. So what's actually going on in your brain when you do this? Well, by simulating writing with both your hands, you're forcing the left and right hemispheres to work together, to synchronize. This creates much stronger, more resilient neural pathways. You're not just carving one single path to a memory, you're building a whole interconnected highway system.
So let's bring this all together. At the end of the day, this isn't some magic trick. It's a structured, brain-based approach to learning. By shifting from just passive reading to this kind of active engagement, you can fundamentally change your ability to not just memorize, but actually retain information. All right, so let's lock in these key takeaways. First, memorization has to be an active process. You start by linking the information to create context. Then you look at the page to make that visual map. And the core of it all, you mentally write with your dominant hand, your non-dominant hand, and then both hands together. And just remember, it's a mental workout. The more you practice, the stronger your memory is going to get. You know, we focused on memorizing text, but this is really about learning how to learn more effectively. It's about consciously engaging your brain in a totally new way. So the final question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you have a tool to fully engage your mind for memorization, what other complex skills or vast bodies of knowledge could you finally unlock?